Thank you, Howard. Welcome, everyone, to the Portsmouth City Council work session regarding the Association of Portsmouth Teachers contract. Welcome to the Eileen Dondero Foley City Council chambers. We appreciate your courtesy and patience in waiting for us as we came out of our private session. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and I'm going to introduce this evening Thomas Flygar, the negotiator, attorney in this case, Dr. Robert Lister, Superintendent of Schools is present, Steve Zadravec as well, and also Mitch Schuldman, Chairman of the School Board. And what I would like to do at this time is ask Attorney Flygar and Dr. Schuldman to present and talk about the school contract that is going to be before us as a City Council.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm also, I actually like interrupting Tom Flygar. Councilor Dwyer she is here in the virtual world. She is on the telephone and she can hear us. Chris, can you hear us okay?
Yes.
Okay. With that, Mr. Flygar.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm pleased to be here with the Chairman of the School Board, Mitch Schuldman. I will discuss the general architecture of the settlement, and Mr. Schuldman will discuss several specific aspects of the contract. But first I want to acknowledge that the very constructive approach taken towards these negotiations by the Association of Portsmouth Teachers. We had extraordinarily cordial and constructive negotiations with this group, and we worked diligently together, long hours, arduous negotiations to reach this agreement that the association has ratified. And I want to publicly acknowledge their role in this successful conclusion of negotiations. The contract calls for a 5-year term expiring on June 30th, 2013. This follows the pattern that we've established in Portsmouth of having 5-year agreements. This is the third round of a 5-year agreement with this bargaining unit. Last negotiations, they initially agreed to a 3-year agreement, but ultimately agreed to extend that to 5 years. So this is the third consecutive 5-year agreement with this group. On the issue of health insurance, the employees currently pay 18% of the premium towards the Comp 100 and Blue Choice plans. Under this contract, that contribution, that premium share, will increase to 19% in the first year of the contract and 20% in the third year of the contract. The city's share of the insurance premium will diminish from currently it's 82%, it will diminish to 81%, and in the third year of the contract to 80%. If the teacher elects the Matthew Thornton plan, there's a slightly lower copay of 15% in the first year, going to 15.5% in the third year, but the premiums for that plan are lower, and so even at that premium share, the school district pays a lower amount towards the employee's premium. The association has agreed to allow the city to add 2 new optional plans to the menu of plans that are available to employees. There are currently 3 plans available, as I mentioned, the Blue Choice, Comp 100, and Matthew Thornton. The 2 new plans will be based upon the Matthew Thornton and Blue Choice plans, but they will contain higher copays for office visits, emergency room, and prescriptions, so that the teachers will be offered 5 different plans. Should their personal circumstances allow them to elect one of the 2 new plans, both they and the city will save money on the total premium. And the association has agreed to serve on a citywide committee to study health insurance options. Now, moving to the salary aspect of this contract, this is a bit complicated. There are a number of moving pieces to the compensation provided for in this contract, but the basic form of compensation is the salary schedule, and that's based upon years of service and their status on the advanced degree schedule. The association has agreed that their annual increase to their basic salary schedule will be based on the rolling 10-year average of COLA. This is a change from the current method of calculating their adjustments. Currently, the adjustment is based on the annual change in the CPI for New England. That index has been volatile. It has fluctuated to some extent over the 10 years we've been using it. We've agreed to move to a 10-year rolling average, which will smooth out the volatility in that index, and it will allow both the employee and the city to have greater predictability on what the increases are going to be from year to year. This will allow the school district and the city manager to predict on an ongoing basis within a fairly narrow range what the raises will be in the budget for the upcoming year. This is a significant change, one that the city sought in these negotiations. It will be of great benefit to the city in terms of being able to predict what the raises will be. It will stabilize the raises that are given from year to year, but it will ensure that the professionals in this school district receive at least a raise equal to the cost of living average. Now, there's a separate component to their compensation. It's known as the advanced degree schedule. And there were some changes made in the way in which that advanced degree schedule is compensated. And there were some additional funds allocated by the school board to this aspect of the compensation because the school board sought certain changes in the contract that were tied to the advanced degree schedule. And in order to achieve that, the changes in the Step 13 advanced degree schedule have some premiums on top of COLA, but this only affects a small portion of the compensation of the teacher, not their base compensation. And in exchange for those adjustments to that schedule, the association has agreed to add 2 additional work days to the school year, not to the student year, but to the teacher's work year, to be devoted to professional development activities. 1 additional day will be added to the calendar for teachers in the first year of the contract, and a second day will be added in the 4th year of the contract. In addition to that, the teachers have agreed to a significant change in the way in which the advanced degree schedule is administered. They've agreed that the professional development credits that they take for state certification can no longer be counted towards advancement on the degree schedule. They've also agreed to a school board initiative to allow advancement on the schedule, not just for university courses, but for professional learning projects. And I'll turn to Mr. Schulman to describe the professional learning projects in more detail.
Thank you. This is something that actually a number of us on the board were pretty excited about. It's based off of a model we saw originally in Portland, Maine. And the idea is to give teachers an incentive to move across the advanced degree schedule, what's called the advanced degree schedule, because it's usually teachers usually move through it by accumulating university credits. Many teachers in Portsmouth already have master's degrees. And there was some discussion that sometimes teachers go for courses that aren't necessarily directly applicable to what they're doing in the classroom. So this is a model that seemed to really be attractive to us because it allows teachers to come up with proposals, working either singly or in groups, that actually will have direct impact back in the classroom on their practices through a rigorous course of study over the course of a year. It could be a semester, it could be a year. And it's a way for teachers to give back on specific strategic initiatives that the district has. And I think basically it's an incentive to teachers who do not necessarily want to go back for more university credits, but who want to work hard, do some action research, figure out ways in which to apply some of the research in the field and the literature back into their classroom. That's the thinking behind it.
Thank you very much. I think that's a very helpful explanation. Tom, do you have anything further?
Yeah, the other important changes in this contract are to the longevity schedule, where the 20-year step in the longevity schedule was eliminated, and teachers with 25 or more years of service in the district have the option of joining the interdisciplinary council, which will be a group that will advise the superintendent and the curriculum council with respect to instructional and curriculum issues. The stipend for that involves a $700 increase over the 16-year step on the longevity schedule, and it is in lieu of any longevity step. There were changes made to the extracurricular and coaching stipends. There's a one-time 2% adjustment in the first year of the contract to that schedule. And in order to meet the school board's priority of trying to encourage Portsmouth teachers to be coaches, an additional step was added to a short schedule that's in the contract that's applicable only to Portsmouth teachers who become coaches. We've added an additional $250 stipend to Portsmouth teachers who coach 8 or more years at the high school and middle school level, and we added a stipend of $250 for Portsmouth teachers who coach an elementary school sport. The department head and team leader provision of this contract was modified significantly by providing a term limit. Currently, department heads and team leaders are under indefinite terms, and many serve for many, many, many years in these positions. The school board had a priority of having turnover in those positions, and in exchange for an increase in the stipend for that position, the association agreed to a 3-year term for persons who are appointed to those positions. Further, department heads and team leaders will serve at the discretion of the superintendent in the event that there's a need to make a change. We resolved a long-standing, ongoing dispute over the evaluation of coaches and resolved that satisfactorily. We were able to modify the deadline for notifying teachers of non-renewal from March 15th to April 1st, which gives the district an additional 2 weeks to determine whether teachers have to be non-renewed due to budgetary or performance reasons. I've already mentioned that staff development credits can no longer be used to move on the advanced degree schedule. Those are the highlights, Your Honor.
Thank you. That was really quite a list. Counselors, any questions or comments for Tom Flagauer for everyone at large? Well, seeing no one jump up, I'll take the liberty of recognizing myself and just say in particular, I appreciate the hard work that clearly the teachers union and the negotiators and the city and the staff have all undertaken. In particular, to see things like incentives and rotating chairs and things of that nature is really wonderful on many, many fronts, and I think a good thing for the city. Do you have any particular other thoughts that you might offer about what you've presented this evening and how we might best explain what's out there and on the table for the people who are watching?
Negotiation is a give and take process, and both sides come into the process with certain objectives, and it's a matter of reaching accommodation to both sides. I think that we can credit the Association of Teachers with having relatively modest demands at the outset. The association understood the concerns that residents of the city have about the cost of these contracts, and they worked constructively with us to ensure that the city was getting its money's worth under this contract. And the school board achieved its major priorities in the contract at the same time that I think the union achieved some of its. It's an extraordinary contract in my experience, and I do this around the state. I've negotiated many, many teachers' contracts in 25 years. It's extraordinary that the teachers would agree to work 2 additional days. It's extraordinary that they would agree that the professional development hours would no longer count towards movement on the advanced degree schedule. I think it's extraordinary they agreed to the 2 additional percentage points on the health insurance plan and to the rolling 10-year average. All of that, it seems to me, speaks to their commitment to this city, their willingness to work with the city and with the school board to achieve objectives both of this council and of the school board. And the contract, in the end, it's a complicated contract. The agreement is complicated. There are concessions on both sides that cannot be directly matched up. You have to look at it as a package, and you have to ask yourself, as counselors, before you vote on it, is the package, are the combination of trade-offs that occurred in these negotiations, is it a fair and reasonable exchange of concessions so that the contract in and of itself is reasonable? And from my perspective as your negotiator, I think this is an eminently reasonable contract looked at in that perspective.
Thank you. Councilor Penelakis.
Yes, in reading the contract, I think it's a very reasonable contract, and I would just like to thank the school board and the teachers union for bringing in a contract so soon to start us off, since we have 14 more to go.
Assistant Mayor Blaylock.
Yeah, I want to echo what Councilor Penelakis said, but two things jump out at me with this contract, and they both seem to be good for the city and for the teachers. Number one, the 10-year rolling COLA average certainly ensures that our teachers, who I personally feel as a group are underpaid, but it ensures that they will have a raise, a predictable raise from year to year, while allowing the city to also predict better its budgeting process. As you know, can be quite volatile, and my first year as a counselor, that's the difficult part, is trying to project what costs are going to be, even a year ahead, but certainly 5 years ahead. So that, I think, is a tremendous gain for both the city and the teachers. Secondly, the professional learning projects, whereas university credits obviously enhance the teachers professionally, may or may not enhance the classroom directly, and the students and the curriculum. Whereas it seems to me that this concept of professional learning projects not only raises the teachers' level up, but probably will directly impact the classroom immediately, even while it's going on and certainly after it goes on, while strengthening the curriculum at our schools. So there's sort of a direct connect here between what we're paying for and what our students are getting, which is the whole point of this. Mm-hmm. And I just want to point that out. Those are the two things that step out of me that I think we should applaud Mr. Fleischauer for negotiating and the school board for working towards.
Thank you. Further comments or observations, questions? Well, seeing no more. Mitch, do you have anything you'd like to say?
I would also want to just sort of compliment the teachers. This is my first experience in a negotiating process, and I think I was impressed by the professionalism on their part, the cordial nature of this process. I was expecting more butting of heads, but actually there was very little of that. We had some really wonderful conversations. The best part was food was provided. Everybody brought food. Everyone had a chance, which really sort of played into the congenial nature of the whole process. It took many hours. We dedicated actually one long full day. We started, I can't remember, say 8:30 in the morning, The goal was to try to see if we could wrap it up. We ended up not that particular day, but we were there from 8:30 in the morning till 11:30 at night. It was a great experience. And I feel very proud of the members of the school board who are participating and also the administration.
Thank you for those comments, Councilor Noveline Clayburgh.
I just, when I was on the school board, and I always would brag about how the Portsmouth schools would do statewide. You know, they would publish the list every year, and, you know, we were always in the top 10 for the academics. I mean, this was the academic part of it. And I'm just, as a parent, that my oldest now is going to, my youngest is going to be a senior at the high school. So I've had 3 kids go through. And you've had kids go through, I mean, many of us have. The education that our kids are getting is just exemplary as far as I'm concerned as a parent. And I just want to thank the teachers and the staff. And one thing that I thought was interesting in the contract, the coaches. I think, you know, we do have great teachers, and we do have great administrators, but coaching has to be a job. It's a labor of love. I mean, these coaches are working, you know, hours and hours and hours, and they're not getting paid a lot of money. And I think we have to be thankful for a position like that. Having a disabled child, that I have paraprofessionals. I mean, what the paraprofessionals do for our kids is just absolutely incredible. So I think, you know, this is a great contract. It addresses a lot of issues that needed to be addressed, and I just want to thank everyone that put so much time into it. Mr. Flagar, our school board, our teachers. Thank you for making our school one of the best in the state of New Hampshire, and one that we should all be really proud of.
Any further comments or questions from anyone? With that, I'm going to bring the meeting to a close, and I will say that I appreciate the hard work of all concerned. Certainly, there'll be more discussion of this because we do have to vote on this at a regular city council meeting. It would be my intention to put it on the August 4th agenda. And with that, if no one has anything else to say, Councilor Kennedy.
Can you remind the public that it is public knowledge and they can get on the website?
It is on the website. Please take the time to review it. Call your favorite city councilors and school board members, or the ones you dislike, depending. And we'd be happy to hear from you. With that, I'm going to close the meeting. Thank you all very much for your hard work.
Thank you.
You all set, Chris?